All right, Panther Cubs, it's Tuesday, so let's check our work. In order to check your work must be done. So if you have not finished your 4 math problems, please pause the video and get the work done before coming back to the video. Okay, for those of you who are done, let's go through it. In which place is the 7 located in 637? So I'm going to make my HTO, and I'm going to put my number in there. So my number is 637. So I want to know what place, and if you remember from our lessons that place means location. Like Mary Williams is a place. It's a location, okay? So if I want to know where the 7 is, I'm going to look for the location of the 7. What's the location of the 7? The 1's place is the location of the 7. So our answer is 1's. Okay, number 2 is 330 minus 75. So I'm going to do the blocks while we do the problem. So 330 minus 75. All right, here's my 330. I'm trying to put it so that we can see a little bit of both, because we have to do both. All right, so I'm going to start by circling where my bigger number is. I always start in the 1's. So I see my bigger number is on the bottom. So I'm thinking about my poem, and the poem tells me, more on the floor, go next door to borrow 10 more. So I'm going to go, next door neighbor is my 3. I'm going to cross out my 3. I'm going to trade in one rod, and I'm going to trade it for 10 1's. So it's a fair trade. Okay, we don't want to get any more or less, because that wouldn't be fair. So there's 5, and I'm just lining it up so you can see that it is indeed a fair trade. So there's my 1 rod. I'm taking it, and I'm giving you the 10 1's. So I don't have 2 rods anymore. I don't have 3 rods anymore. I now have 2 rods. I don't have 0 1's anymore. I now have 10. So now I can subtract 10 minus 5. 10 take away 5 is equal to 5. Now that I'm done with my 1's column, I can go to my 10's column. I'm going to circle where my bigger number is. The bigger number, 2 or 7. So I'm going to circle this bigger number, the 7, and I'm going to think about the poem. More on the floor, go next door to borrow 10 more. So, because I have 2, I can't take away 7. So I need to be able to get more of those rods. So I'm going to take this, and this I'm going to trade in for 10's, because that's what I'm working with over here. I'm going to trade it in for 10 10's. If I line it up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 rods will fit on one of the flats. So here are my 10 rods. I'm not worried about the ones. I'm going to just move the ones out of the way for a moment. So 10 more rods. Okay, so now I have to change my numbers in the problem. I don't have 3 flats anymore. I now have 2. And I don't have 2 of the rods anymore. I now have 10 and 2. Or 2 plus 10 gives me 12. Now I can subtract. I can take away 5, 12. I can take 7 away. And I'm going to be left with 5. And this is kind of like having a 0 placeholder there. So I'm going to circle where my bigger number is. My bigger number is on top, so I have no need to stop. 2 minus 0 is 2. So my answer there is 255. Okay, the third problem deals with the property, the commutative property of addition. So commute, your parents commute to work. If they drive to work, they are commuting. So commutative is similar to that. Okay, the word commute is my base word. And if I commute, that means I go to and from. So I go from home and I go to work. And then at the end of the day, I go the opposite way. I go from work to home. So the addition is very similar to that. So if I have 2 plus 3, home to work, now on my way in the afternoon, I'm going to do work to home, which is 3 plus 2. Home to work, work to home. Those are equal. So this question asks me which would complete the other side of the equation using the commutative property of addition. So it specifically is asking me about the property. So if I have 15 plus 6 on one side, here's my home and work. At the end of the day, I have to go the other way. So I'm going to go work to home. My work is 6. Okay. My W, I made a 6. My H was 15. So work to home is 6 plus 15, which is choice B. Yes, I know that all 3 answers are correct, that 15 plus 6 does equal 21, and 15 plus 6 does equal 20 plus 1, but because it's specifically asking about the commutative property of addition, I have to do what the other side would be equal to. Okay, and the word problem says, Kennedy, Kayla, and Kristen buy bags of jelly beans. Kennedy has 56 jelly beans. Kayla had 100 more than Kennedy, and Kristen had 53 less than Kayla. How many jelly beans does Kristen have? Oh my goodness, that's a lot of words. So let's set up our UPSC. If you haven't done UPSC with this problem, you need to pause the video and do UPSC. Remember, U stands for understand, P stands for plan, S stands for solve, and C stands for check. So if you have done UPSC, you're ready to move on with the video. So let's see. We're going to go first sentence, second sentence, third sentence, and get what we need to know. So first sentence says, Kennedy, Kayla, and Kristen buy bags of jelly beans. Okay, that's great, but not really important to us. Kennedy has 56 jelly beans. Okay, that is important. So we're going to say K-E. Since all of their names start with K, we're going to be a little more specific and say K-E for Kennedy has 56 jelly beans. Okay, I don't want to write out the whole word. I can just abbreviate. Third sentence, Kayla had 100 more than Kennedy. So I'm going to say Kayla, which is K-A, has 100 more than Kennedy. So I'm seeing in there the word more. And in order to get more, I know that between addition and subtracting, if I'm getting more, I need to add. So 100 more than Kennedy. K-E for Kennedy, remember. And then the last one says, or the last part of that sentence says, Kristen had 53 less jelly beans than Kayla. So I know Kristen, and it says 53 less than Kayla. So I know I have Kayla, and when I see less than, I'm thinking about subtract. So Kayla, 53 less than Kayla. Okay. Then the question is asking, how many jelly beans does Kristen have? So remember, the question is always important. So I want to find out Kristen. So I know that Kristen is Kayla minus 53. So going into my plan, I know Kristen is Kayla minus 53. My problem though is I don't know what Kayla is. So before I can figure out Kristen, I need to figure out Kayla. So in order to figure out Kayla, I'm going to do what her equation says. 100 plus Kennedy, which is 56. And that's going to take care of Kayla. So then I can have Kristen equals Kayla, which is my sum, minus 53. And that takes care of each person's information. So Kennedy, Kayla has 100 more than Kennedy, and Kristen has 53 less than Kayla. So really this is kind of like Kayla, but it's also the sum. Okay, so first we're going to start with step 1 when we solve. 100 plus 56. You might be able to do this in your head because of the zeros, which is good. So we know that Kayla has 156. Before we go on to step number 2, we're going to check it to make sure that we didn't make a mistake in step number 1. So we're going to check number 1. And if I'm checking addition, I'm going to do subtraction and work my way back to the top. So I start at the bottom, I go to the middle, and hopefully I get to the top. Okay, numbers the same, zeros the game. Numbers the same, zeros the game. And then that's like a 0, 1 minus 0 is 1. So that matches up. Okay, now I can do step number 2. Step number 2 says Kayla, which is what we just figured out, 156, and we're going to do 53 less than that. Okay, so here we go. I circle where my bigger number is. There is more on the, oh my goodness, Miss Swadley, goodness gracious. I was just so excited to be regrouping that I wasn't even paying attention. That 6 is bigger than 3. So there's more on top, no need to stop. So 6 take away 3 is 3. Numbers the same, zeros the game. And 1 is going to be bigger because there's nothing there to take away. So 1 take away nothing is 1. So that would be my final answer, 103 jelly beans. But we need to check it. So we're going to come over to the check side and check it. We're going to do 103. The opposite of subtraction is addition. So we're going to work bottom to top, bottom, middle, and hopefully we get the top. So I'm going to add 3 plus 3 is 6. 0 plus 5 is 5. And 1 plus 0 is 1. And that matches up. So I know that 103 jelly beans for Kristen is my final answer.